Okay, welcome to the video. SIG Guy here. This is going to be the installation video for the Armory Craft extended slide catch for the SIG Sauer P365. This slide catch will work in any 365, so let's get started. As always, anytime we're working on any firearm, we're going to make sure it's a clear and safe firearm. So if we have a magazine installed, we're going to remove our magazine. We're going to lock our slide to the rear. We're going to physically and visually check, make sure there's no round in the chamber, no magazine, check our breech face, look away, do the same thing again. Chamber, magazine, breech face. We are working on a clear and safe firearm. So the only things we're going to need to complete this process is the slide catch itself. Okay, this is the extended slide catch from Armory Craft. It's a little bit longer, wider. It's got more texturing than the factory one. Everybody knows that the factory mag release is pretty difficult to release your slide, especially when the 365 is brand new. So having a little bit more real estate there makes it a lot easier, okay? And then just whatever tool you're going to use to remove your receiver pin. I do sell the 365 receiver pin removal tool on the website. Basically just use it to push out the pin just like that. And if you have the disassembly and reassembly kit, it's not the same size as this one. This one's specific to another function in the 365, but this one will work just fine, or even the punch here in the kit. So these kits are available on the website, sigguy.com, as well as the slide catches as well. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is remove our slide. Okay, we're going to set that aside. We'll use our removal tool to push out on that receiver pin. We'll remove that and set that aside as well. And then we're going to remove our FCU by pulling up on the rear just like that and pulling it up and out of our grip module. A couple things you're going to want to be very careful of is our pin right here. A lot of times it's a loose fit and it'll actually start sliding out on its own. So just be aware of that. Basically, it holds our safety lever right here. Our safety lever pivots on it. Okay. Also, the takedown safety bar right here. If this pin walks out a little bit, that wants to come out a little bit. And then it can be a pain in the butt to put back in if you don't know what you're doing. So if this does work its way out and it's not pressing in very easy, okay, what you need to do is just push down on your sear. You can see how our sear is spring-loaded here. And that basically, the leg that this interacts with, it'll move it forward. So we can push that bar back in and then press our pin back in and then release your sear and it all should be fine. So, and a good way to check to see if this is all together correctly is when you're watching your sear here, if you rotate your takedown lever, you'll see that the sear actually drops. See that? All I'm doing is rotating my takedown lever. I'm holding up on my slide catch. But what that's going to do is that shows us that that leg on our takedown safety lever is actually behind the sear properly, and it's pulling it forward. Okay. So there is an easy way to do this, and there's the little bit longer way. Not that it's more difficult, just takes more time. So if you're very careful, this can be a very easy process. Okay. So what you're going to do is lift up on your slide catch just like this. You're going to rotate on your takedown lever so we can see our whole slide catch. Okay, so we have that in its forward position like that, like it's supposed to be. And I can basically just grab my slide catch and wiggle it around and pull it right up and out of there. And I'm holding my trigger bar, or excuse me, my takedown safety bar, I'm holding it in so it doesn't want to come out, okay? So now that we've got it out, let's take a look at the factory one so we can understand what's going on here. So the only thing that holds this in is on the back side of it, we got this little leg that comes out. That's what our follower pushes up on when there's no more rounds in our magazine. You'll see a little bit of a notch here, right where my tip of my screwdriver is riding in it. So that notch right there is what this little spring here goes into. And that's all that keeps it against the side of our FCU while it's outside of our grip module, okay? And then obviously the other end goes in this little round cavity here. See this round portion here on our slide catch, okay? So basically that goes in the round portion there, the spring goes over here, and that's it. That's what holds it into your fire control unit. So now that we have the factory one out, let's try to install our Armory Craft one the easy way, okay? And nothing's fallen apart yet, so we're still doing it the easy way. So all we need to do is, what I do is I take the pointed part right here on our slide catch, and I use it to kind of work its way underneath this spring right here. In this, there's a hole right here, okay, an opening. See that? So I'm taking that sharp, pointy part, and I'm putting that in here first, and I'm trying to stab it underneath the spring just like my screwdriver is. Once I get it like that, I can push it in the rest of the way, and then I can maneuver the other end of it with the round portion on it into this little hole here, and that's it. It's all installed, okay? So we'll try to do this here real quick. Try to get it underneath that spring. If you heard that, we're having thunderstorms right now. So then I'm going to rotate this around like that. And there you go. So if you look on the back side here, you can actually see that the spring is on top of that catch. If you can't see the little spring there, see the little spring? That means it's underneath it and it's not installed correctly, okay? So if I go, I'm going to kind of put my finger over this end here so it doesn't pop out. But I can kind of just do a function check really quick. And I could feel the spring rebounding it, okay? So there you go. That is the easy way. I'm going to put this back in here before anything falls apart. Make sure that we're all the way in there. This end's not all the way in there. There you go. So I'm looking right down on it from the top here, and I can see it's all flush. Okay, that way I know I'm in all the way. Now we're going to pop it in there just like that. Make sure that our pin is all the way in there. We'll grab our receiver pin. And I'm going to do this again because I know it probably did not go this smoothly for a majority of the people out there. Okay? But that's the easy way of installing this slide catch. Let me take it back out and we'll kind of do the long version in case some of the stuff falls apart on you guys, to show you how it goes back together. Okay, so just by chance, if pulling this out, say, you know, this pin worked its way out a little bit, our safety lever fell out. That's usually what happens on a lot of people. So our safety lever fell out. Okay, it's not the end of the world, so don't have a meltdown or anything. And then our takedown safety lever here came out. We can't get that back in. All right, again, it's not the end of the world. Anything can be put back together, okay? So there's nothing really you can do on this. If you don't force anything and break something or bend something, everything can be put back together relatively easy, okay? So say we're trying to pull out that there and all this stuff happened, okay? So now basically what we're going to have to do is kind of do more of a disassembly to get stuff back the way it needs to be, okay? So like I said on our bar here, you'll notice right now I can't push that in. Okay? It will not go in because it's actually hitting against my sear, the one leg of the sear, okay? So people know what this stuff looks like. This is what our sear actually looks like. I'm not going to take it out of the bag, but see how it's shaped like an L, basically? Okay? So this is the portion we could see up top, and this is the portion you can't really see, okay? So our takedown safety lever bar here, and that's our factory number for our sear. I have all this stuff on sigguy.com. Here is our, before I forget, the slide catch lever spring. This little spring in here, if you lose it or it's not that strong anymore, here's the replacement one, just that spring. This is all available on sigguy.com. And our takedown safety bar, I do not have one in stock, but it's basically shaped like an L also. See? This little leg here is what needs to go in back of our sear, okay? So let me see if I can slip this back in here again. And if that falls out on you, there's a little notch in the bottom of our takedown safety, or yeah, takedown lever here. There's a little notch. Let me just take it out all the way so you guys can see this stuff. I was trying not to get this involved in this, but stuff does happen and you need to know how to put it back together. So here's the notch in the bottom of our takedown safety lever. This little hook here goes into that notch, just like that. Okay, so this is how it looks from the side. And then this leg right here actually goes behind our sear. Okay, so let me put this back together. It's in the little notch there. Put it back like that. Okay, so I'm in the notch up here. We pulled our slide catch out, and this little lever popped out to the side a little bit. And we can't press it back in. Okay, so you'll notice if you do pull it back far enough, you can get it in, which is pulling my lever back. Okay, but if for some reason you can't pull that back, all you need to do is push down on your sear. See how that popped right in there? And what that's going to do is it's going to put it right behind your sear. So you can see how it's sticking out. Sticking out to the side right here. And I'm going to push up. I'm going to push down on my sear, but it's upside down. So I'm going to push in on my sear. Watch that bar. See how it pops right in? And it's right behind the little leg that goes in there is behind the leg on our sear that comes down this way. Okay? And like to test it, you can actually rotate your takedown lever and you'll see your sear go up and down. So I just want to back up for a second. I took everything back apart. I didn't show you the slide catch spring here. So this is just the spring right here. It's one little spring. One little leg of it is right down here, captured in that little notch. And then it goes around this post, and it comes out this way into the cavity here. So if you want to replace that because either maybe you lost it during this process, or it's weak, or it fell out, and you're like, hey, might as well just put a new one in there. Again, here's the part number. This is available on sigguy.com, and that's what the spring basically looks like right there. Okay? So now that I mentioned that, let me put this all back together, and we'll continue on. So we have everything all put back together. Now we have to put our safety lever back in. This little guy right here. Okay? Basically, it pivots on this pin, and it goes right inside this little cavity right here. Okay, this is the little lever that sometimes you can't get your slide to go back on, so you got to make sure that that's down so it clears your slide. Okay, so it lives right in that little cavity there. So I mean, you could get lucky by just putting this in there and blindly trying to push this pin in and get it through the hole there. It's probably not going to work. A lot of people get this in there, they think it's in there right, they slide the pin in, and then they're putting the rest of us together and it falls back out because they didn't have that pin going through the little hole here, okay? So what I would do right from the get-go here is remove our trigger bar spring. Okay, just take a look at how this stuff goes so you know how to put it back together. The spring goes through this little loop in our trigger bar. The other end is captured right here on our frame, Okay, so I'm basically just going to use my pick. I'm going to unhook it from my trigger bar. I'm going to let it fall out just like that. And then we're going to take our trigger bar. We're going to pull that down and out just like that. And then this little piece here, yours might be silver. Mine's black. The newer ones are black. The replacement ones are actually silver, so you really can't go by new or old. But anyway, that just slides right out of there. That's our disconnector. Okay. We'll set that aside over here. And now we can see these two holes right here. All we're worried about is the bottom hole. Don't push anything out of the top hole. That's our sear pivot pin. Okay, so if you push that pin out, that's a little bit more difficult to get back together, but we're going to line up our safety lever hole with this bottom hole right here. Okay, so as we slide that into the cavity there, you can see it in the holes there. I'm going to slide that in. There's the top hole lined up with the big hole, or the big hole lined up with the top one. We're going to keep pushing that in till the bottom one lines up. Just like that. Then I'm going to use the pin alignment tool that comes in the deluxe or the 365 dart kit. I'm going to put that in there just like that. Basically, this is going to be a slave pin, so it's going through my safety lever. You can see it's pivoting on it, so I know I got it captured. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to push my pin in over here and kind of work it through just like that. Okay, and that's the beauty of this tool, how easy it is to get that back in there. Okay, and what I should have mentioned also is sometimes this pin likes to rotate. Okay, so make sure, we call it like the little shark fin, the pointed top part there is actually facing up. Okay, it will go in if you rotate this in any other direction. You can slide it in there, but it's not going to go into your FCU or your grip module. Okay, so make sure that that's orientated correctly. See how that little shark fin holds that pin in? Oops. Shark fin holds that pin in. It's like one part holds another part, holds another part. Alright, so once we have that pin in there, you can see it's flush. Everything's good to go. Let's put our disconnector back in. Your disconnector can only go in one way. The back side of it is all flush like that. That goes against the FCU. The front side of it has this little nub on top there. Okay, so that goes up. Our trigger bar actually lays in it, against it, just like this. Basically, our trigger bar holds in our disconnector. One part holds another part, holds another part. So we'll slide that right in here just like that. Okay. We'll put our trigger bar in here just like that. See, our trigger bar is holding it. And then all we have left is to put our trigger bar spring back in. So remember how it was captured by, one end was in our frame here, and the other end was through the eyelet right there on our trigger bar. Okay, so I'm going to slide this in through the hole there. So the one leg right here is captured on our FCU. And I usually hold my thumb against my trigger, pushing it forward towards me, which holds the bar out that way, and it makes it a little easier to get your trigger bar spring on. You can use a pair of needle nose pliers, a pick, whatever works for you. I usually use the pick. So I just kind of hook underneath it there, bring it back, slide it down behind my trigger bar, and it's not in the hole yet, but you can see how it's behind the trigger bar. I kind of hold my finger over it and kind of rotate this out. Oops. Come on. And they're just clicking. I don't know if you saw that on camera or not, but basically you just, the loop here, you kind of pull it toward the left, and that'll make the end go right through our trigger bar, just like that. So make sure we're captured right in the hole there. Make sure we're captured right on the edge of our frame here. Little functions check there. That all works fine. And there you have it. That whole side's put together. This whole side's together. Make sure your pin's in there all the way still. Okay. Look down at it. Make sure our slide catch, this portion here, you got the little nub on the front. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the whole side here is recessed within the FCU there, so you can look straight down and not even see it. So we know our slide catch is in all the way. And then our takedown lever right here and our slide catch are relatively the exact same. If this is sticking out more than this, that means you don't have that in all the way. Okay? So there you have it. That's everything all put back together. Put this back in our grip module. Slide that down. Put our receiver pin back in. The receiver pins, should have showed you this as well when I had it apart. This is all just beginner stuff. Stuff that might happen to you. Your receiver pin can go in either way, okay, because there's a notch, a little spring in the notch here holds it in the FCU. So you got a notch there and a notch here. That's why this can go in either way, okay? And there's a little spring on this side here. There's this little spring right around that hole. And then if you look really closely inside the hole, you'll see the flat wire, straight wire going right through the bottom of the hole there. That straight wire in the hole is what goes inside this groove here, and it captures it, okay? So if you lose any of this stuff, this is their receiver pin kit. Okay, it actually comes with a new receiver pin and 2 of those springs. If you want just the spring itself, and there's your part number. Okay. If you want just the spring itself, which is this little guy right here, comes with 1, and there's our part number as well. Okay. All this stuff is on the small parts page on sigguy.com, 365 small parts. So that's worth mentioning, because a lot of that stuff falls out on people and they don't notice it. So you want to just make very careful that you don't mess with this too much and that spring falls out. So we'll put our receiver pin back in. You'll feel it click into place because that spring went down into the notch. Lift up on our slide catch, rotate our takedown lever down. Make sure our safety lever here is down. Slide our slide on, lock it back, rotate that, release that. And there you go. And there you have it. That is how you install the Armory Craft extended slide catch for the P365. Again, this will fit on any 365. See, it sticks out just a little bit more. Gives your finger a lot more real estate to easier release that slide. Okay. These are available on sigguy.com as well as the toolkits. So it comes with that pin alignment tool for the safety lever. Comes with a 90-degree pick that I was using for my trigger bar spring. And then this is a specially shaped punch here. It's not just a regular punch, but if you were to remove the sear and you wanted to reinstall the sear, this punch here makes it super easy to position the sear spring in the proper position to easily push the pin in that the sear pivots on. Okay, and all this stuff, all these small parts, just about every single small part for all SIGs, I have available on sigguy.com. Okay, as well as many Armory Craft upgrades. So if you do like these types of videos, there's be a subscribe button right down here. If you could subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. As always, thank you for watching and have a great day.